It's not easy living as a man with chronic loneliness. So much of popular media, advertising, music, even just daily conversations you might have with people around you are all focused on relationships. Or it's all about romance, or, even just going outside and seeing happy couples walking around, holding hands, just going about their day. When you are a man living in this world today and you don't have any success with women, you don't get any attention from women, it's hard. It's really hard. We are literally animals with a biological urge to reproduce. It is hardwired into our brains that we are supposed to get with women, even sometimes at the expense of everything else. And there's no support system for men that don't succeed with women. If anything, you just get ridiculed, you get mocked. I mean, making fun of a man for being a virgin is one of the last remaining socially acceptable insults. So it's no surprise that men decide to remove themselves from existence at 4 times the rate of women. And those rates are only increasing as time goes on. Now, of course, loneliness is not the only reason men make that decision, but it is one of the leading causes. So, with the way things are going, we can probably expect to see that rate continue to increase for the foreseeable future. So, being a man suffering from chronic loneliness, an excess male, as some would call it, it's not just painful, it is a potentially life-threatening condition. Now, before we really get into it, I do want to say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not any kind of professional. Any views expressed in this video are simply my own personal thoughts as a chronically lonely man myself, doing the best I can to navigate this brutally unfair existence. So, what do you do as an involuntarily lonely man to try to make the best of your situation? How do you survive? Well, I think a good starting point is the Japanese proverb, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. By the way, this video is not about coping. I have another video I made about how men cope with loneliness, but this video is about strategies you can use as a lonely man to mitigate your suffering. I know that might sound like it's pretty much the same thing, but basically the focus of this video is giving advice on how to actually feel less lonely. So yeah, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I don't know the actual intended meaning of the proverb, but the way I'm intending it here could basically be summarized as ignore women. I know, easier said than done, but I promise I am going to go into a bit more detail than that, and I will be offering some actual concrete advice that you should be able to put into practice as soon as you're done watching this video. And I really do think if you follow this advice, it might make your lonely life a little bit more bearable. And if it doesn't, then, not a big deal. None of the methods I'll be describing here will cost you any money. They won't even cost you any time, other than the time it takes for you to watch this video. Okay, so let's start with see no evil. All right, so this one is pretty simple. By see no evil, what I'm suggesting you do is delete social media and do not look at adult videos or images. If you have Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, uninstall it. delete your account. Whatever you have to do, just don't look at it. If you're on some Discord servers or anything where people post pictures of hot girls, then get off that too. You don't have to delete your account, but that might help because this stuff can be addictive. So any extra steps you put between yourself and tantalizing images of women, the better. There is software you can download to block yourself from accessing adult websites or any other websites like Reddit or YouTube, for example, where you might accidentally come across tantalizing imagery. So you can look into that if you think it will help. It sounds like it might be a good idea, but I have not personally used any such software, so I don't have any specific recommendations, but that is an option that exists. And this extends to real life locations as well. So don't go to the beach, don't go to the pool, don't go swimming anywhere, because there are women there wearing not that much. Don't go to clubs, don't go out to the bars. I would even recommend, if you have the ability to work out at home, then do that instead of going to the gym. Because we all know how some of these women dress to the gym. Just stay away from it all. See no evil. What you're aiming for here is total ignorance of the existence of women. You want full blindness. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to prevent yourself from literally ever seeing an attractive woman again, especially if you're in college or maybe you work in an office with a thriving human resources department. You're probably going to see some women walking around in yoga pants at some point, but just do the best you can. If you have to have all your groceries delivered to your house because the risk of seeing attractive women at the grocery store is too great, then do that. Because let me tell you, fellas, women do be shopping for some groceries. I know it's really not financially responsible for most of us to have all our groceries delivered, so something else you can try instead is just do all of your shopping at Walmart. Everybody at Walmart, including the women, are all ugly as shit. And actually, shopping at Walmart can be a good way to track your progress because if you start feeling attraction to women that you see at Walmart, then you know you must be doing a good job of blinding yourself to the existence of actually attractive women. That was a joke, obviously, but seriously, what we're going for here is just trying your best to avoid seeing attractive women, especially women that are dressed in or are behaving in a provocative manner. I know this probably sounds ridiculous to some of you, probably to a lot of you, and I've even said myself plenty of times on this channel that I don't really think that looking at adult videos is that big a deal. And I do think that's true in the grand scheme of things, but I also think that seeing attractive women in real life is actually a lot more visceral of an experience. So if you aren't also avoiding the sight of women in real life as much as possible, then avoiding adult content on the internet isn't going to make a huge difference on its own. It's better than nothing, but avoiding seeing women in real life is actually the more important part of this. So when I talk about see no evil, I mean really try to see no evil, even in person, especially in person. And if it is unavoidable, say you're a college student, so you do have to physically go to class with lots of yoga pantsed young ladies, then if you can, and I know how absurd this sounds, okay, I am aware of that, but literally just close your eyes if you have to. Obviously, you can't sit through your entire differential equations lecture with your eyes closed the whole time, but it's not like there's any girls in differential equations anyways. But seriously, if you see an 8 out of 10 young lady is about to walk across the room in front of you on her way to her seat, just close your eyes. Easier said than done, I know, but it gets easier with practice. Okay, so before we move on, let me remind you why we're doing this. The goal here is to lessen the degree to which you feel loneliness. Now, the best way to feel less loneliness is to actually have romantic interactions with women. But if that was an option, we would all already be doing that. So I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you've already given up hope on that front. So aside from actually having a real-life romantic encounter, the best way to decrease the amount of suffering you feel from your loneliness is by triggering your desire as little as possible. You're never going to be able to completely alleviate all of your suffering and truly be content with being alone. You're a man. Your body produces testosterone. It is hardwired into your brain. So, to be clear, the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil method is not going to cure you of your loneliness, but it can make it a little better. It can make life a little more bearable. And the way that it works is by making it so that you think about it as infrequently as possible, by reducing the number of sensory triggers you experience throughout the day. So think of it like this. If you struggle with your weight and you know that you cannot resist cinnamon rolls, you are an absolute fiend for cinnamon rolls, you're just completely addicted, you know that if you see a cinnamon roll, you are going to consume it, then what is the best way for you to avoid getting fat as a cinnamon roll addict? Well, I don't know about the best way, but obviously you should not keep cinnamon rolls at your house, and you shouldn't walk through the mall right by a Cinnabon stall, and you're not doing yourself any favors by going on the internet and looking at pictures of cinnamon rolls, because all of those things might trigger you and make you eat cinnamon rolls. So the analogy isn't perfect, but as a lonely man that needs romantic interaction with a woman, when you experience a trigger, for example, you see a woman or you hear a woman, you can't just eat a cinnamon roll, so to speak. You just can't get what you need. So instead, you feel pain, you suffer, you struggle. So what we're doing here is avoiding triggers. And if you are really struggling to survive, then it might be worth it to go to great lengths to avoid those triggers, even if that means looking like an idiot at work because you literally close your eyes every time Stacy from Human Resources gets up to go refill her hydro flask. All right, so hear no evil. This one is a bit less extreme of a strategy, but it's pretty simple. Do not listen to music with a female vocalist. Do not listen to female podcasters. And sure as hell, do not listen to video game reviews or anything like that from a woman. And also, you're gonna wanna refrain from listening to any music about dating, love, or romantic interactions, even if it's sang by a man. So, I know that's pretty much all music, or at least most music, but there are options out there. You can listen to instrumental music, although you probably want to avoid Jessica by the Allman Brothers Band just because of the title, but you can listen to classical music, Baroque, video game soundtracks. You could listen to most songs by Tool or Primus, I think, if that's what you're into. You should be able to listen to, I don't know, I think you could listen to The Sound of Da Police by KRS-One. There is music out there that does not talk about women. Just like with Seeing No Evil, it's not going to be possible to literally avoid hearing any and all female voices. Maybe you have to interact with women on your job, or maybe you're like me and you still live with your mom, but just do the best you can to limit your interactions with women. When you have to leave the house to go grocery shopping or whatever, you could try wearing noise-canceling headphones. All right, last but not least, speak no evil. Do not talk about women. Do not talk about how lonely you are. Now, you might say, but Loser Maxing, you talk about women and loneliness all the time in your videos. And that is true, but that's because I'm not really following the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil method. While I do suffer from chronic involuntary loneliness, I actually have a naturally optimistic constitution, believe it or not. So I am suffering. It's definitely a struggle. And it doesn't help when I make a video reaction to a Kira Lotan video, for example. But I am surviving. I have never had thoughts about going to the side of the sewer. With some of the things that have happened in my life, that might be surprising, but that's just not a path that I have ever considered going down. The methods I'm talking about here could definitely help make things better, even in my case, but I don't feel that I need to really go all in on this. I have been avoiding adult content on the internet lately, and I already just naturally don't really listen to a lot of music with female vocalists, and I don't listen to female podcasters or anything. So I do practice this to an extent, which does help, but the speak no evil part is not really possible for me because of the nature of this channel, and this is my life's work. I'm not giving up on this. So just like I've made exceptions throughout this video so far for each method when it comes to, if you have to interact with women at your job, then you just have to do that. I'm not telling you to quit your job if you've got bills to pay. But yeah, speak no evil should actually be the easiest part of this method to follow for most of you. I mean, if you suffer from chronic loneliness, then you probably don't have that many people to talk to anyway, so it shouldn't be too difficult to avoid talking about women. Again, I know these methods might seem extreme, but if you are suffering in an extreme way, then maybe it's worth a try. And if you try it out and you find that it's not really helping you any, then that shouldn't be a big deal. At worst, you will have seen and heard fewer women for a while, and maybe you will have not talked about women as much. So it's not going to hurt you. You don't have to spend money to do this. Really, I think it might sound excessive when I'm describing it just because the whole idea is kind of out there. But really, when you think about it, nothing I'm describing is really that intense. Compared to actually trying to approach women in public and convince them to give you a chance, the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil method is, it's easy peasy. honestly, compared to actually going out and trying to get with women, this should be easy. And I think for most people, doing this will give you better results than actually trying to hit on women and pick up chicks in public. Okay, so I think it's worth it. I think it's worth a try. If you really are struggling, I honestly, truly believe the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil method is solid. Okay, it will help you out, probably. And if it doesn't, so what? Okay, you haven't really been put out too much. So let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you for watching.